Hello and welcome to the Who podcast. This month, it is just me and Will, and we're going to be discussing something that is becoming more and more apparently happening in the. That wasn't a sentence, was it?
No, not really.
We're going to be discussing something that is
Oh,
becoming quite likely to happen in the world of Doctor Who in the future. With the Whoiverse opening up over the next couple
the
of years.
Whoiverse.
The Whoiverse, as it's been dubbed. We've had a wall in, I think, Bad Wolf Studios, or like an office, an important building to Bad Wolf that has had the home of the Whoiverse written across it with an image of shooting.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's
Weird.
it's a weird time, isn't it? Because at this point we don't really know what we're getting. But I think there are a lot of plans in place
And
for
we could talk about
spin-offs and
what
stuff.
our dream spin-offs would be as well.
Well, I mean, when it comes to these kind of videos or podcasts, I always say there's the obvious ones, the ones that everyone always says. So
There's the Eighth
should we rattle
Doctor.
should we rattle through them first? So yeah,
The obvious ones.
yeah,
Eighth Doctor.
that would be cool. But I don't know. You know, I'm always happy to see
Wait,
Paul
is it
McGann.
obvious or is it just the one that everyone wants?
I think it's just the one everyone wants.
I don't know if it's the obvious one,
Although, is there an issue with like having two doctors at the same time?
no, because we all know it's the Eighth Doctor.
But general audiences won't.
Mm,
It'd be like having two runs of the same show happening at the same time. It'd be weird. Why are you doing that at me?
because we could use the Eighth Doctor in one of my ideas. Anyway, Dan, you look so brain dead. Are you okay?
I have no clue what you've just spoken about there. One of
I
my
said
ideas.
I've got obviously 3 ideas for spin-offs, which was what we were meant to be doing.
Yeah.
And Dan changed the brief because he couldn't think of any.
I've got loads. I've got about 6.
Right, cool. You got 6. You got more than me.
Well,
Fair enough.
we've got the obvious ones.
Torchwood.
But I've tried to think of some like ones that sort of push the boundaries out a little bit.
Yeah, no, me too.
Yeah. But with the Eighth Doctor one, right? I'd love an Eighth Doctor series. Although I do feel like Big Finish has kind of picked up that mantle. But in terms of television, it'd be really cool to see that actually happen and for him to get some physical.
Yeah. We
time
love
screen.
Paul McGann.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to see Paul McGann be the Doctor again?
I'd love to see Paul McGann. God, he's gorgeous.
I screamed during Power of the Doctor when we saw him.
Did you?
Yeah,
He was the
screamed.
one. I didn't. I was not expecting him.
No, I know. I was like, oh my god, that's in the
And
outfit
obviously-
and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, Davison, McCall, and Colin Baker, got leaked, didn't they?
Sylvester was definitely he told someone essentially, like he said, what was it like to meet Jodie Whittaker, and then he said, oh, it was great, and he went, you haven't actually met at like a Comic-Con or anything, so it was inferred that they had filmed together.
But yeah, Paul McGann kept it quiet.
He did.
So fair play to Mr. McGann.
He did. No, but I mean, surely at this point you'd think that Paul McGann is sitting there in his office at home or on a
He's
set.
waiting for the call.
He's waiting.
He
for
loves
the call.
Doctor Who.
Yeah. Like, I'd like to just if we get something with him, maybe even just a little bit more inclusion of the Eighth Doctor, because to general audience especially, he's just very, that it doesn't mean anything. So.
Yeah.
But he's like for a lot of people, he's like their favourite Doctor, and he's really high up for me.
Big finishers, yeah.
Yeah, he's really high up for me, and he's hardly got any physical screen time, so it'd be great to see him back. But obviously, you mentioned Torchwood, so should we talk about that?
Well, Torchwood's coming back. I think that's a bit of a tricky subject right now, as we mentioned about 2 podcasts ago.
Yeah. A while ago now, a tricky subject.
Yeah, tricky subject, but eventually Torchwood coming back. I don't think anyone will complain.
Or just even something along those lines, like just a team. You could use Unit if you can't use if you don't want to use Torchwood.
That's one of my ideas.
Well, I've just stolen it. Sorry.
Well, you haven't, because I had it first.
But you've you've got the whole team dynamic and stuff like that, so it would essentially be a very similar show. How would you feel about it being like more adult?
Fine.
Well, it's just that I watched a bit of Torchwood recently, and I don't think a lot of the adultness stands up.
No, I think the first few episodes of Torchwood, like, oh, this monster kills you by having sex. That was, look, this is not a kids show. This is adult. Look,
Yeah.
guys, sex. But no, I don't feel like there needs to be adultness. But obviously, just you can. Like, I think Torchwood was done perfectly.
I've got some.
Not without the sex monster though.
Yeah, the sex monster, the cyber woman, with her
Side woman
bikini
with her
that we've mentioned,
chesticles.
chesticles of her chest probes and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we've mentioned those before,
Yeah.
and how weird those things are. But like trying to explain Torchwood is very difficult to people. But yeah, it is.
If you're not a fan of Doctor Who, you can still be a fan of Torchwood.
That is true, I suppose. Yeah. I love like certain aspects. I love when like the violence means that you can show proper horror of conversion and like the horror monsters can cause. Some darker ideas, which is nice. Will's just turned into Spider-Man. There's somebody in the house.
There is somebody in the house.
But you're home alone.
Well, I'm clearly not. Well, this is fun.
Yeah.
La, 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 la.
Yeah, but I like it. I like
Really
the
normal thing.
yeah. I always liked the darker stuff that Torchwood could do, but I feel like sometimes it was like pointless, and sometimes if you're trying to do this realism,
I've just gone to the toilet.
it never really worked. Like the fact that nearly all of the people in Torchwood had screwed each other at one point, I don't think was necessary and stuff like that. It felt like a fan fiction.
Hello.
You've been
Jeff
rumbled.
David.
You've been rumbled, Will.
I've been rumbled. I thought I was home alone. Oh my god.
Well, at least you weren't doing anything
Oh
weird.
my god. At least we weren't talking about which Doctor Who companion. We could have been the smash and pass of Doctor Who aliens.
I always thought the Sabine was quite attractive.
Oh, the Exorbiloth.
Yeah.
That's a smash.
That's a smash.
He knocks David.
Knocking over David. Anyway.
Right.
Torchwood, yeah. Who doesn't want to see Torchwood back? I just want it to be extremely sort of edgy, and it would be alright.
Nope.
But go on. I feel like I'm going to eat up all of your answers.
Right.
So,
Time War. A Time War series done like Andor.
ooh.
There you go. Now you're interested because you've seen Andor. It's like it's a story on its own. All the characters can die at the end or something, or to tie in a bit to Rogue One because that's like the story of the Time War could be how they get the moment, and that's how it links into.
Yeah. Very similar to Rogue One.
Like
if
a
that,
like a kind of
what you mean.
a heist thing, not a heist thing though, but to track down the moment and capture the moment.
There's an awful lot you can do with the Time War.
An awful lot you can do with the Time War.
Especially when time doesn't actually have much of effect in the Time War, which is weird.
No.
So it was believed that like the Eighth Doctor and Cass met each other like several times, and because of the Time War,
that's what I'm saying. You could have a bit of the Eighth Doctor in the Time War series.
Yeah. So yeah, easily. Even I would say the War Doctor. Because I've been listening to the
a bit
War
hard
Doctor
to do
recently.
now.
I've been listening to the War Doctor recently, but like all of that kind of atmosphere of it, I think is really cool. I do think sometimes that, you know what Russell Davies said about like the Time War is just a war. It's just a big war. It doesn't really need to be shown or explained. But I think there's just a lot of it. It's almost like just like war films and stuff. I just think it's something along those lines, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where it's sort of that attitude of sort of fighting through and trying to see tomorrow. I think is quite an interesting time.
Yeah.
But no, I like that. I wrote something quite similar.
Did you?
I suppose you could focus on the Time War, but I have written Time Lord Anthology, or sort of just the
retconning of the Timeless Child.
No, but
That's more main show, isn't it?
I thought, yeah. I thought it'd be cool if we sort of just took a look at more like Time Lord politics and stuff. But there is definitely the idea that the Time Lords are sort of, you hate you drink you made, don't you?
It's quite milky.
It's quite milky. Oh. What was I talking about? Time Lord Anthology.
And then we're gonna have another guest appearance.
We're gonna have another guest appearance.
Yeah. See, I think if you smashed the Weeping Angel, it would be a bit difficult because obviously they're made of stone. But obviously the title Flesh and Stone means there's a bit of flesh in it, so you could still smash the. So the Weeping Angel for me is a smash. I'm joking. We're not doing that.
No, we're not. That was last month.
Not last month. That's what we should do. Wait, when's April Fool's Day? It's in April. We should do an April Fool's Day smash or pass of the Doctor Who monsters.
But why?
Why not?
You shouldn't be let loose with planning podcast episodes. You just shouldn't.
So I want to smash that Jadussi. Right.
Time Lord Anthology series. Yeah. So yeah, it'd be really cool to have a Time Lord Anthology series, and I think that it would make an interesting thing. Although it would expose a lot of the secret that the Time Lords have, and I think it is quite cool to be like the Time Lords are these mysterious figures that you're not quite sure what they're capable of. But all of that probably gets unearthed the more that you do it. So.
Yep.
Any thoughts on the Time Lord Anthology series, Will?
It'll be fine, but I don't know. Time Lord politics never interested me.
Did it not?
No. But I mean, if it become a thing, I still watch it, of course, it's Doctor Who. But never interested me. Actually, speaking of spin-offs, do you think these spin-offs would, for just the spin-offs, would go straight to Disney Plus for us as well, or will they be BBC?
They'll be BBC. In
BBC
the UK,
3 or
the
something.
BBC has like all of that stuff, I would guess.
So how are we going to get the Whoiverse if we've got to have everything on the BBC? We know what the BBC are like. It'd be so much better if we got Doctor Who spin-offs on Disney Plus.
I could see it with the spin-offs,
because if they're getting creative control as well, surely I get the main show, Doctor Who on the BBC. I get that, but surely the spin-offs could go to Disney Plus.
Well, I guess yes, but I think the deal does not include, but in the UK anyway, because it's more international based than it is UK based. So for us, we'll get it on the BBC. But I think, well, I flipping hope so, because otherwise, we might as well have it on Disney Plus. Is the episodes will air here slightly earlier. So there was always a time delay between them airing here and airing in America, for example. So by the time, I think it was like 7 hours or something like that, about 5-6 hours. So when it aired at like 7 o'clock here, it'd be like 2 o'clock in the US, depending on where you are. And then by the time you come around to like 7 or 8 o'clock, it'd be early as hours of the morning. Which is why I noticed that a lot of my reviews when I would go to bed would be lower, and then you wake up and they'd be higher because the American audiences and international audiences have caught up. So I hope that they do something along those lines, because if Disney Plus is saying that they come alive at 2 a.m. on Disney Plus, then maybe you'll get... take back what I just said. Maybe you'll get them at the same time rather than...
I do get what you're saying, but obviously Russell wants it as big as the Marvel. Obviously, it's never going to be as big as the Marvel, but he wants a Whoiverse, right? You imagine if all the Marvel Disney Plus shows were shown on TV. It couldn't have been done.
I don't know how well they would
So
have
I
gone if
feel
they were
like,
on television, to be fair.
yeah,
You stuck some adverts in there, and I don't think that they'd be as good.
no, I'm not bothered about it. It's the fact that you wouldn't have been able to get out that. Obviously, there was way too much Marvel Disney Plus stuff, but you wouldn't have been able to get out that much Marvel stuff if there was on TV. If it was as well only one station
Yeah,
for us,
a
BBC.
fatigue would set
For
in.
them,
Yeah.
let's say it's AMC or something,
Yeah.
but like it wouldn't have been possible to get out that much Marvel stuff if it was just on AMC. Like for us, it won't be possible to get out that much Doctor Who stuff if it's just BBC.
Because right, but are you talking about because then what if they get to the scale that they won't do? But I flipping out
No, I know.
because I think it's silly. But if they got to a scale where they're producing like 3 or 4 shows a year, let's say,
Yeah,
so there'll be some events each year. So you have like
yeah,
one series at the start of the year, one in the summer, one in the winter, right? If they did it like that, then the BBC would be like, well, hang on a sec, people are going to get bored of Doctor Who, especially general audiences, because there's like 3 shows a year, and they kind of follow on from each other quite a lot in terms of
exactly.
dates. So yeah, you
Yeah.
think, well, maybe they might throw it onto BBC Three, some would be on BBC One. The audience is going to differ for them. I mean, we'll probably watch it whatever.
Yeah,
But you know,
we'll watch it. But anyway, so my last Dream spin-off
yes.
is just because this character is iconic,
Oh yeah.
better than any other edition. The Missy series.
Okay. A master series.
She's amazing. She's
Yeah.
amazing.
Okay, I like it. And what would you have Missy do?
Her going about. So again, I'm basing this off like the Marvel series which we've already had, but you could have it a bit like Loki.
Okay, and
So
sort of fix the redemption arc, I
no,
guess.
kind of, yeah, because we know the testimony in Twice Time stops people just before their death and keeps them alive.
Mm-hmm.
Could have something like that. She's dying in Doctor Falls, right? Testimony freezes time. She's fine, and then goes to some like side quest or whatever. You know what I mean? And then is put back then, and that's how she because the Master John Sims says, "Don't bother regenerating. You've had the full blast." So in this, it could show how she gets the extra regeneration to be able to turn into Sasha.
A lot of people, me included, are still very adamant that Sasha is pre-Missy.
So am I, but it would also give answers.
Yeah, I think we definitely. I personally am quite. I want the answers for that kind of stuff. Like, but I don't know whether a series is justified in order to serve those answers. But
I just want Missy. Missy's
I
iconic. She's so funny.
I think Missy's interactions with people and stuff like that would just be quite interesting to watch. Is what you mean?
Yeah.
And the kind of
Yeah.
anti-hero stance of it is always quite interesting in the Master series anyway. So
Yeah.
having that anti-hero stance brought to television would work quite nice.
Because then if you wanted to do something where you could have all 3 masters together and yada yada yada.
Oh right, okay,
but
so, yeah.
I don't think they will. But I just want Missy because she's funny. She's the best thing Capaldi brought us.
Well, I mean, apart from Capaldi, yeah.
Yeah, Capaldi brought us, not Capaldi himself.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that, to be fair. Wouldn't that be cool? I don't know how it works in terms of what they can do because Missy's got her own like box sets. I wonder if the license to the Missy spin-off idea and all that kind of stuff belongs to Big Finish currently.
Could you not make? I know it belongs to Big Finish, but is there a way? Obviously, we have nothing to do with Doctor Who. We're just 2 nerds talking about it in the kitchen and bedroom. But
yeah,
is there not a way that they could go, look, we want to make this series. We've heard your box set. It's brilliant. Can we make your box set a TV show? A bit like the comics with Marvel. Do you know what I mean?
and sort of adapt it
Adapt
loosely.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Could you not do that?
Interesting. Yeah, maybe because then it would benefit them, wouldn't it, as well? Because then
It would benefit Big Finish because then like people would see how good this Missy series is and go, "That's good. That story's amazing. Let's see what these people can do." And
I don't know
give
what the
Big
Missy
Finish.
series is like. I haven't listened to it.
No, I'm not. I've
But
never
it
listened
might
to
be
any Big
absolutely
Finish.
trite. But we'll have to see. But no, I like the idea that they've kind of taken and adapted it. Like the idea of doing animated Big Finish is one of the things that I thought would be a cool idea.
Animated, yeah. I think an animation needs to happen.
Well, because like if you look at like Star Wars shows, you got like Bad Batch.
So I thought you were talking about Dreamland then for a second.
Well, Dreamland, the pinnacle of Doctor Who media. That's on the list somewhere to do a commentary / review of that at some point.
Can I do it?
Yeah. That's what it's for. But at the end of the day, I need to mess around with my computer. 1 sec. I just pulled that wire up my ass.
I was just about to say, did you get that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I went quiet so I could put the wire in. There we go. So I would love the idea. What was I talking about? Yeah, animated stuff. Wise up my ass, animated stuff. So I like Star Wars has lots of sort of huge animation projects like Clone Wars and Bad Batch, which is currently airing, and I'm very far behind on. And
you could make an animated unit.
Yeah, like
a bit like Bad Batch.
I'd much rather it was live action, though. To be fair, with the unit.
Yeah, no, yeah.
But I think
if you did it like a lone group of just normal people, a bit like Bad Batch, you could make that into unit.
Yeah. I would actually suggest using an animation format to show us more alien planets and stuff like that, because you could really do the art design bigger. Like you can go crazy with the art design and that kind of stuff.
It doesn't have to look like a Welsh quarry.
Yeah, it can go bonkers. And sort of maybe like a sort of series of detailed like stories, like tales from each thing, I think would be cool, from like different planets, and sort of maybe like I wrote one of my ideas was like leftovers of the Doctor, and those that is sort of planets that the Doctor has been to, and then you kind of use them for another story.
I think this animated stuff would work a lot better as well, because it'd be easier to get, let's say, a past Doctor in to do voice work than it is to get them to be in it. Do you know what I mean? I think, especially Eccleston, it'd still be ishy because it is, it is Doctor Who, but it'd be a lot easier for him to just go into a booth, go, fantastic, that's him done. Do that for a couple of days, that's him done. Than it is to get him on set playing that character again. I think the same with possibly Capaldi and Smith.
I have to say that
I know Smith would love to do it as him again, but if it comes down to it, I think either just voicing it'd be great.
I probably should point out that the whole leftovers of the Doctor is basically Doctor Who remnants by the Who Chaser, but something along those lines. I will talk about that idea in a little bit, properly explained. But yeah, so essentially what you're saying is that we turn Big Finish audios. Maybe you could do it by like fan vote or something like that. Or maybe just what's considered a good sort of jumping on point, perhaps, because I think they mentioned on Twitter about like a jumping on point and looking.
Has Eleven done Big Finish yet?
So he's on Big Finish, but it's Jacob Dudman, not Matt Smith, and he's got a series that I'm loving. Does
it sound like him? I know it's an impressionist.
It's pretty good. It's very versatile in the performance, and it sounds like him, and I can imagine it being him, and the dialogue sounds like him, so it does work really well. It's just obviously you can tell that it's not, in your heart that it's not actually Matt Smith.
Because he does Tennant as well, doesn't he?
He has done, yeah. He does loads of them. He has done
He's
loads of them.
naff. His Tenant is a bit naff.
I've not listened to his Tenet in ages. I don't know.
Sorry, Jake, if you're out there.
Yeah, I'm not really into Chronicles, to be fair, and that kind of stuff. I prefer the Doctor. But with this new run that they're doing, his final run as playing the 11th Doctor, they're doing like an arc, and there's like a mysterious Time Lord, which could be the Master or something.
The Valiant.
Or the Valiant. Yeah, it's something like that. And it fits in between him losing Amy and the finding Clara, and that's kind of what the series is about. And he's got a new companion, and they're brilliant. They're like a robot. Well, they're a cyborg.
Handles.
They're splendid. Feisty companion. And yeah, it's a series I really enjoy listening to. It's just sort of, I kind of want it. I want to get to the next part, but at the same time, the further I get through the parts, I mean, I've listened to the first box set like 3 times now. I'm listening to it again at the minute, but as we get towards the end, I know that it's over really, which is a shame.
Yeah.
But no, I love the idea of taking Big Finish audios and turning them, or creating something original from those books or whatever, or just writing something original in order to turn them into a series. I think would be brilliant, and also it kind of brings out your scope a little bit instead of doing everything live action. Which is splendid. But shall I go back to my idea that I briefly mentioned earlier?
Go on.
So I thought we could do a sort of domestic drama, almost. But instead of it being like aliens every like 5 seconds, it's sort of living in the world of Doctor Who. And
bit like Turn Left.
A little bit, yeah. But there was Doctor Who Redacted recently. I don't know if you listened to it. I don't think you did. But there was like references to like stories and people noticing the Doctor, and they were looking for the Doctor. And I find that kind of stuff quite interesting, where you can easily sort of link in the Doctor at some point, link in characters from the show in quite interesting and clever ways. You don't really need to be full on with the aliens every week, and you don't need to go to space and stuff like that. But I think to ground all of that stuff, so if the Doctor's flying about in outer space, which I imagine that they're going to do more now that the budget has got bigger, if they're going for these big epic adventures, then I think
you say that, but the filming we've seen recently has just been Bristol and Cardiff.
Yeah, I know. I realised that didn't quite make sense, but you know what I mean. Like, the bigger the budget, I think it'd be cool to go ground level a little bit as well.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what I was after, but sort of alien life on your doorstep and what that would look like, I think would be quite cool.
That would be cool.
Have you? I think we've exhausted all of your points, haven't
we? Unit, Missy, and Time War.
I wrote Time Lord Politics, but may I give you an option that was given to me by Ashton a little while ago?
Oh yes, of course you can.
So this was a very long time ago, but an option he gave me that has stuck in my mind quite a lot is he's taken one episode called A Town Called Mercy.
Love it.
And he thinks it'd be cool to kind of do the cyborg western story, and him running this town.
Doctorless, companionless.
Yeah. But I think it'd be quite cool because you could do it.
It wouldn't link to the Whoiverse.
But I like the idea of it just showing the stories that could happen within the world. Or maybe...
Yeah, but no, because it needs in some way... Oh, yeah, cool. It's set in the same place as this one Doctor Who episode. But in what way does that expand the Whoiverse? Do you know what I mean?
You think it's more of a step back than a step forward?
Yeah, I feel like it's not needed.
It's like Echo.
Because
do the Marvel show Echo? It's a bit like that.
Echo. Like, it's that one character which you see, oh, she's cool. We don't need a whole series about it. Do you know what I mean?
No, like, I think... See, this was going to bring me on to my sort of final...
I love the episode. It's nothing against the episode. It's just the fact that it wouldn't bring anything different because obviously he called himself the Doctor, but he wasn't the Doctor. Yada yada yada. The gunslinger. You know them.
You wouldn't call him. No, you wouldn't. You'd kind of just show this town as it sort of has this bizarre alien thing. I think it would probably work as more of a Tales than a series, like a one-off or like part of a series of
a bit like
stories.
Werewolf by Midnight or Wolf by something like that. Yeah.
Werewolf by Night.
Yeah.
But something like that I think would be cool more than a series.
Okay. When you put it like that, and it's not a whole series, like a little special, maybe.
Yeah, like a half an hour, 40-minute thing. I think would be quite cool.
It's cool, but
talking about like the stories behind things, and like the stories like a. Do you like when Gordon Ramsay does like a Revisited, like that? When he does Kitchen Nightmares Revisited.
No, I get it, but I just feel like A Town Called Mercy. It was a good episode, but does it need? There's so many other things that
it doesn't need it. It definitely.
No, I know, but honestly, none of these spin-offs are needed. But if someone said, "Oh, cool, look, we're getting a Town Called Mercy spin-off, and we're going to see what their life was like," I'd be like, "All right." You know what I mean?
It is like so. Like Marvel have come out recently and said that they realised that they were doing a lot more quantity over quality, and they sure were. They thought that in the coming future they would change that and review their slate a little bit, and I think a few of them got pushed back. Is that true? I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah, but Secret Invasion that got pushed back.
Did it? I thought that was this year. Yep. That's this year, isn't it?
Yeah, it got pushed back 2024.
Did it actually? Oh, right. Because I knew that. Because I thought that was filmed. I was talking about like sort of ideas they may have had that haven't been disclosed yet. And focusing on what people want rather than what people could have, and in the same way with the Western.
I know it's very, very copying from Secret Invasion.
Okay. Zygons. Yeah. Well, it feels more like a unit story, or a Doctor Who episode, by that matter.
Yeah, but the Zygons of impersonating famous people. Not literally famous people, but like I don't know.
I would love to see the Zygons back. Anyway, like I think the Zygons are so interesting, shape-shifting characters that there's a lot can be done with them, and I don't think they've really. Well, I mean, you've done them, but I think you can definitely sort of put them in places of power and stuff like that, and you could have a whole network of them. Yeah, like Secret Invasion.
I think that could work, but then that would literally be copying Secret Invasion,
or that would literally be a Doctor episode. That's an episode of Who, or that is an episode of Unit. That is an arc of Unit, like that kind of Zygon invasion. In the same way that Class tried to introduce Weeping Angels.
Did it?
Yeah. Did you finish Class? I don't think you did.
I got to the bit where I might have to rewatch Class.
I think that's a good old little series we can do there, Will. The Class reviews.
What, rewatching Class?
Yeah, rewatching Class. All right, then. Because I liked it, and you obviously didn't flip and watch it. But maybe we could
I think I watched the first episode.
Yeah, you watched the first few.
And then I remember something. I remember, this is of course, the teenage boy remembered that. I remember they went home from school to have sex.
Yeah, so I think that's sort of where you gave up.
Yeah, because it was just a load of rubbish.
Yeah, it became a bit. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Or I was like, I've seen my sex, don't need to watch it anymore.
I knew I saw that shot in the trailer. Something that was actually rumoured that we were going to be getting.
Mm-hmm.
I think we may have discussed this recently, in fact. But like a sort of series about the monsters of Doctor Who. How would you feel about that?
Please don't, please don't.
I sort of see it with with Daleks, because they did a Dalek series.
Yeah, do it animated.
Yeah,
with animate your Daleks a bit like you did with Dalek Universe. But please, the last thing I want to see is a series about Weeping Angels and how the Weeping Angels get about.
No lines of dialogue, just
no,
just that.
Like nodding. Oh wait, they move now, Dan. They move. It's fine.
Yeah.
They move.
It's like a 10-hour loop, and then the idea is that it waits for you to look away, and then it moves. You've got to try and catch them.
Yeah.
No, it's
No, please.
But
The Dalek one would be okay, only if we see them absolutely obliterating a planet.
Yeah.
Because we've never seen it.
That Dalek show that they did with
The one that went straight to YouTube.
Yeah.
Was it called Dalek Universe?
It's called Daleks.
Oh, that was it.
Exclamation point. It was a fairly good series from when I watched it.
Right.
But I mean, I think that as a whole,
I hated the design of the fathead one though.
That was a comic from the flipping 60s, I think.
I know, stupid.
But apparently the comic
just stayed in the 60s.
My hands on it. Just stayed in the 60s, like many things. But
like Doctor Who.
Like Doctor Who, it should have been cancelled in the 60s.
Cancelled 60s, loads of fucking rubbish.
It's
just turned woke now.
It's all gone woke.
It's all so woke. They've had to get David Tennant back to stop it from being so woke. Sorry, I'm just quote. That's not my. I saw a clip of like a news, like a Great Britain news or something. Some right wing one like that. And they're like, look how woke it's got. They've had to bring David Tennant back to stop it being so woke. And it's like, you're literally getting RTD. What are you on about?
It's the 60th anniversary of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And yeah, you've brought Russell T Davies back, who's quite a woke writer anyway.
So they know we're getting Shooty Gatwa.
Yeah. But
cannot wait.
I am very much looking forward to it. But something I just thought about, we've talked about spin-offs in terms of like television shows, but what about games? Board games, yeah.
Board games. Cluedo, Doctor Who Cluedo.
Doctor Who, that would be interesting. One of them's a Zygon. You guys switch one.
A bit like Attack of the Grass.
Yeah.
Where you just with the eyes. With the eyes. You saw the eyes.
Yeah. But so
yeah.
I mean,
I'm never going to say no to a Doctor Who game.
I'd like to see
never
online games for it. Like, what would you? Do you remember we had Star Trek Online? We played that, didn't we?
We did that.
We named our ships like HSS, the Millennium Falcon, and
yeah, that was it. HSS Millennium Falcon and HS TARDIS or something like that.
Yeah, we really went into that.
It was a horrendous game. It took us about 3 hours to find each other.
We did. We never found each other. It took us ages. But would you like something like that in terms of Doctor Who?
Has it got popularity for it? Has it got the popularity to keep servers running? Because if you're doing an online MMO,
I think so. I think within the community, it would be like
because there was one already, wasn't there? When Smith, there was a very short one when Smith was the Doctor. I can't remember what it was called, but there was a very very short-lasted Doctor Who online MMO RPG.
Really?
Oh. Online MMO, of course, it's an online MMO RPG. Yeah.
Oh right, I didn't know that, but it's fascinating. It's a fascinating little thing that could happen in the future.
Do you know what? I'm going to get some slack here. Some of the Roblox Doctor Who games are brilliant.
Yeah,
they're really good.
Why not?
They're really good. Why can't we get something like that?
You want to tie in with Roblox?
No, I don't want to tie in with Roblox. But obviously, when you get to fly your own TARDIS, you can choose your own TARDIS. You can.
That's what I was thinking of. It is in an online Doctor Who game. Is that you could
online Doctor Who game like Doctor Who Online, a bit like Star Trek Online. I don't care how bad it is. I'd still play it.
Yeah, just then,
as long as I get to fly my TARDIS, go to Gallifrey, meet up with my mate.
You could design the inside of your TARDIS as if it was like a room. In
I don't want to build the TARDIS like it's The Sims.
But I think that'd be cool.
Well, it wouldn't be.
put like a jukebox in it and make it all white.
That's it, just a jukebox.
Creativity would be quite interesting, I think.
Yeah.
And then you kind of get a community of like people making TARDISes and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, it would be cool because then you get people literally making.
At the same time. I had a slight yawn then. You just see
we'd both be making everyone would be trying to make show accurate TARDISes.
Yeah.
But I also think it'd be cool if you could download other people's TARDISes designs.
So yeah.
So if you couldn't be bothered, you're like, oh, that one looks right, I'll just take that one.
I think I did that in Forza. I think I stole someone else's
Yeah,
car
that's what
design.
mine did. I just stole people's cars in Forza. So along the lines of that, yeah.
Yeah, I think I had a Doctor Who car in Forza that was like full of it. It was an awful car. It didn't drive very well, but it had Doctor Who logos all over it.
You've got to say this, talking about your Doctor Who online game, but how many players do you think it would actually get, roughly? Because I feel like it would be a thing we all played to start with, numbers of 100 up to 100,000 online players, and then that's going to die week by week by week by week by week, as it's just, that's another bit shitty Doctor Who game. Even if it's not shitty, it's not going to, do you know what I mean?
It's
That's
not going
the
to
only
be
thing
vast enough to keep the attention for that long.
No, and that's why the other one died, because it was, when it's first, I was like, oh my God. But then, I can't remember what it's called. I'm going to have to Google this now. This is annoying me.
Is it like when you fly the TARDIS, once you've done that kind of stuff, it becomes a little bit dwindling and then your interest in the show, or the game goes down? That's what you mean. Well, I mean, that happens with every game though, doesn't it?
It was called Doctor Who Worlds in Time. No, I don't remember it. It came out in 2012.
Right.
And it closed on 2014. So it lasted 2 years, so it wasn't too bad.
No, that's
But-
I mean, that's standard run in it. The new flipping Avengers game is ending soon. They're going to stop doing updates to it.
That's also a shit game, though.
Yeah, I mean that does. That's why they're doing it.
So, like, I just, it's fine. Like, obviously, let's have a look at some images of it.
But the life of
it
a game
looks
nowadays
bad.
is not huge anyway. I mean, there are
No,
very
it's
few
not.
games
But this
that
is the
last
thing. Like,
a
if you're
really
going to
long
put
time.
in, exactly, but if you're going to put in like this much money into a game, you're going to want. Oh, it doesn't look great either. You're going to want it along the lines of World of Warcraft, Elder Scrolls Online, and that's what we're going to want. But if we get it, it's not going to be that, is it? It's going to be like Star Trek Online.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't play it often enough, really.
No, I wouldn't play it often enough, and that's as much as I feel like the best thing for a Doctor Who game is a single player or a multiplayer, as in a multi-Doctor game with your friends, a bit like Gotham Knights. So you can still play it single, but you can also play it multi.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. But then,
Even though Gotham Knights is an absolute failure,
you'd make it like a puzzle escape room kind of game, and not a. Oh, so
It
you
kinda-
can't really do a kind of. Like the Doctor can't be sitting there like punching guys or anything like that, really.
yeah, because this is what you've also got to think, like, how are you going to do a Doctor Who game?
How do you adapt it? But do you adapt
can't-
stories, or do you create your own?
I feel like you've got to create your own.
Yeah, original.
But when you can't, obviously, modern games is just shoot, 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 shoot. When you can't shoot, 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 what's the point? So, do we want a master game
Do we want to master it? Oh, because we could be a little bit
where
more
you can shoot, 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 shoot,
or a
shoot?
Dalek game.
I prefer the master.
Well, you wouldn't
The
want to be
master still got a TARDIS.
creature of all evil.
No, because I wouldn't want a whole game where it's like, we don't need to.
We will kill. Yeah, was it like? Did you play? Do you know who the Edge of Reality game was? It, I think it was, where every time you sort of reloaded, you just shout exterminate.
Yes.
Yeah, and then sometimes it'd overlap.
Loved that game.
Some people had it overlap. It was alright.
The only good thing about that game was actually seeing a bigger on the inside TARDIS.
The moment I have it recorded, there's a moment when you open the doors to the TARDIS, and I was actually like surprised. Like I was like, oh, this is actually really cool. Stuff like that. I'd love to like have that again. To be fair, with an actual game. But Will, I think we've covered spin-offs, don't you?
I think we do, because my AirPods are about to die as well.
Oh, that's even better then. So, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy the podcast this month. Will's going to eat his microphone as a celebration. Are you enjoying the microphone, Will? I think this is...
I'm very much enjoying the microphone, and I don't know what I sound like, so I can't wait to listen to it back.
I think it may have disconnected you slightly, but we'll see.
You what?
It doesn't matter. You sound alright. So, at the
I
end
sounded better.
you sound good, yes. You sound good.
That's very good. That's very good.
Yeah, you sound good. But what I was going to say is thank you very much for watching. If you want to check out the podcast, you can check it out on a whole bunch of platforms, including...
Spotify, Spreaker, Deezer, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Castbox,
iTunes. He's gone. iTunes.
iHeartRadio.
iTunes.
iTunes. That's not iTunes.
I don't think you said iTunes.
Is iTunes not Apple Podcasts?
Oh. Oh.
Is iTunes not Apple Podcasts?
Oh dear. They may be the same thing.
I think I did it, Daniel, and you were saying it wrong.
That's been stupid. I think you got them all. Anyway.
But don't you worry, you don't need to remember all them places for
Spotify.
Deezer, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Castbox, Podcast Lover.
Podcast Lover?
There's going to be something with a weird name like that, isn't there?
Podchaser, I think.
Podchaser. You can just click them all. You can click the link tree down below and it'll be available in all of your favourite podcast listening devices, software, apps, places.
You get better at that each time.
Thank you very much, Dan.
So, next month, God knows what's going to happen, but we'll find out.
Dan, if you ever get to if we ever get a decent, I'll say this now, if we ever get a decent podcast listening audience that we can, like, I'm not saying it's monetary, but that you start getting decent monetary gain from this podcast, I will get all of them tattooed on me.
You
shake on it.
You'll get a tattoo of...
I'll get a tattoo of the list of all the places or the Linktree link.
You'll get the Linktree link. So you'll get...
tattooed.
Linktree / the Who Pod. The Who... I think... The Who
Yeah.
Written on what, your elbow? Like here? Like your forearm?
Possibly...
Yeah.
What about... Yeah, arm or leg, but I will get it tattooed on me.
Well, I know you're looking for a tattoo, Will, but that's not exactly that's not exactly what we meant.
No, I just think if anyone's listening and is thinking it'd be funny if you got Spotify, Deezer, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast all tattooed on me, share it to a friend. A friend?
Oh, so right, you're talking about getting the platforms, not the, and then as we gain them, you have to keep adding.
Yeah. So it'll all be down the arm, so I can just be like Spotify, Spreaker, Deezer, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, just doing all that.
Then you've got to go back every once in a while.
Or if I get it all on my chest, Spotify, Spreaker, Deezer, iHeartRadio.
Oh, brilliant! Well, that's staying in.
Right.
So,
cool.
But thank you very much for listening. I hope you did enjoy the podcast. And we shall see you soon.
Shout out Malachi. Carry on.
Goodbye.
Keep that in.
Goodbye.
Keep shout out Malachi. Malachi, if you're hearing this, love you, mate. We'll see you at work.